Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec. Today I'm here for the Scrapbook Nerd Online Shop, and I'm going to be creating that layout you see on the screen. I'm also going to be talking about working outside your comfort zone. I do this at least once a month, and today's the day. So here's what I'm going to be using. I have material from Doodlebug Designs Made with Love collection. I absolutely love this, but it is way out of my comfort zone. All of this material came from the Scrapbook Nerd Online Shop, so I'm going to talk more about it throughout the process, but I will put links to everything I'm using, including the shop, in the description box below in case you're interested. So you're about to see what's on my desk, and I did do a bit of preparation in advance. I prepared that frame style foundation with 3 sheets of paper, and I gutted 2 of them. And there is a tutorial on my channel where I explain how to do that, so that will be linked up below. I matted 3 photos on 1 mat in a strip, and I will be putting measurements for all of this later on throughout the process. You'll see it on the screen. So I'm showing you the paper that came from behind the foundation page. That pink heart one was in the still shots at the beginning. That's the only paper that didn't come from the Doodlebug Design collection. That's from my stash. I think it's from Stampin' Up. It's a piece of vellum. Now these are some cut apart sheets from that Made with Love collection. They're like recipe cards and to-do lists. So I'm thinking of doing my journaling on that. I also have another planner page there. That's from my stash. That's in case I don't want to use what's in the collection, but I end up using it. I also have this row of tags. That's another cut apart sheet from this collection. And what I'm showing you is that I cut out a strip of tags. I basically folded it in an accordion and then trimmed the corners. And that's how I got that row of tags. I just showed you a sticker sheet. That was part of the paper collection pack. And I also have other bits and bobs from this collection, another sticker sheet, some epoxy hearts, some ephemera. Anyway, what I'm going to do right now is start preparing my foundation page. So you're going to see me cut down some papers, and I'm going to be creating like a layered photo mat, and I'll put measurements for all of this on the screen. But I do want to talk about working outside your comfort zone. Basically, what I'm doing here today is I'm tiptoeing outside my comfort zone. I'm using material that is, that I normally wouldn't use, so that's outside my comfort zone, but I'm using a page design that I'm very familiar with. So I'm making a layout with a frame style foundation, which I often do, with lots of layers, another thing I like to do, and lots of straight lines. Now those 3 elements of the page design are really part of my style. So it's easier for me to work with material outside my comfort zone when I incorporate something that I'm familiar with. So what you see me doing right now is kind of layering up that layered photo mat with the vellum on top of that heart paper. This is a cooking page, so the vellum kind of reminded me of parchment paper, even though I don't have polka dot parchment paper. It'd be cool, but anyway. Also, what you see me doing right now is cutting down these tags, and I'm thinking of kind of layering them at the bottom right and the top left as a base to embellishment clusters. So I'm taking that journaling spot there, that long pink one, and lining it up along the right-hand side, thinking I'm going to be doing my journaling there, and then putting those tags there, thinking it would be a good base for an embellishment cluster, and putting the other one in the top left corner. You're going to see me play around a lot with placement. And again, I do think that can be attributed to working outside my comfort zone as well. I'm just making decisions. I'm taking more time to make my decisions. Anyway, you're going to see that throughout the process. Now what I'm going to show you are some dies. Now I did cut my title out in advance with 2 sets of die. So the smaller ones there are from Lawn Fawn. They're called Oliver stitched dies, I think. There's a stitching on them. And the bigger ones are from Pink Fresh Studio from the Adore collection. So my title is Gross Bananas. And what I'm showing you is that I layered up each of the letters with extra cardstock. So bananas has 3 layers of cardstock and gross has 2 layers of cardstock. And what that does is it just creates a letter that's a little bit thicker, almost like a do-it-yourself thicker. It gives it a little bit more substance. So now what I'm doing is playing around with placement. Now originally I thought I was going to be lining it up along the left-hand side like you see there, but you're going to see it ends up getting layered up underneath. And that's the beauty of putting titles on wax paper. You can kind of play around with placement and get an idea of different options. So at this point, I'm kind of liking this, and I'm not quite sure about those tags in the top left. And at one point, I am simply going to have to commit. What I end up doing is turning off the camera, and I will get out all of my embellishing. So I'm kind of thinking I want it to look like this at this point, but am very undecided. Again, working out of my comfort zone, these decisions just take a little bit longer for me. So what I did was I got out all of my embellishments. I have ephemera, stickers, tags, and all that kind of stuff. And I do know I want to have that layered photo mat. So I'm adhering all of that together, and I will be adhering that to the page. So what I essentially do at this point is put down the pieces, adhere the pieces together that I know that I like together, and the rest I leave it separate and I will play around with it a bit. So I'm taking a little bit of time here. I'm adding a little bit more adhesive underneath that vellum. I'm going to adhere it to the page. I am deciding now at this point to use that journaling box with the pink edge, but again, outside my comfort zone. Typically, I work with more autumnal colors, like fall colors, and these ones are really pink and pastel, so that's way outside my comfort zone. But like I said, I love this collection. I think I do love it. The colors are really true and beautiful. But also, I usually gravitate towards anything that is kitcheny. I do like kitchen themed products, so that's why I got this collection. So at this point, I'm kind of thinking of placing my title at the bottom. Actually, I had kind of thought about it a little bit before, and that is why when I was adhering that strip of photos onto that layered photo mat, I just tossed it a little bit more towards the top. Now what I'm doing is creating an embellishment cluster with the ephemera pieces in the bottom right, kind of at the bottom of that journaling box there. And these pieces are actually quite huge. I have tons of embellishing, but there is only so much that my page can fit. So I don't end up putting that much on. So at this point, I decide to adhere my journaling box down. And I end up adhering those tags. I'm not quite sure when I do it, but I do trim them down a bit because most of them are going to be hidden behind the photos. I just want them to peek out a bit as a decorative element. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm creating a big embellishment cluster that kind of forms a backwards L around that photo cluster. So there I go, cutting down my tags, and I'm just going to adhere them I'm working with the layers there. So I have that journaling box behind the heart paper, and then I have those tags underneath that vellum. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of place those embellishments around the bottom there. I'm making sure everything's straight before I continue adhering, because if I have to straighten things up, it's easier to do it then than to wait for everything to be adhered to the page. And I'm trying at this point to cover up some of those smiley faces on the Doodlebug embellishments. I really like the Doodlebug embellishments, but those smiley faces do confuse me. I don't mind a bit of them, but I find them overwhelming sometimes. Anyway, I end up not covering them up, and I actually quite like the page. That's why it's fun to work outside your comfort zone from time to time. It makes you do different things or use different things, and you may just like it. Anyway, I end up liking this layout in the end, and it was a lot of fun to put together. So as you can see, I'm going to be placing my title at the bottom almost like a shelf. And once I decide upon that, I do start adhering the title to the page. And there already is adhesive on that. I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing, but what I'm doing is just lining up those letters at the bottom, and then gross is going to go on top of that. This is a story about banana bread, by the way, and I don't know if you make banana bread, but when you make banana bread, gross bananas make really good banana bread, but my family finds it really disgusting, the bananas that I use. Anyway, back to my layout. So you can see I have my title down. Everything is more or less in place, but I do want to add some finishing touches. So I get out this sticker that says, I love this, and it kind of points to me. And what I love about this is that it's just funny that people think that my bananas are so disgusting. In my defense, these came out of the freezer. They didn't just evolve like that on my counter. So I have that yellow sticker there pointing to me, and actually that kind of created a visual triangle around the photo of me. You have that banner on the journaling box that says favorites, you have that arrow in the middle, and then bananas at the bottom. What you see me doing right now is adding reinforcers to those tags. So I used a hole punch and a 1/2-inch circle punch, and now I'm coming in with some twine from Lawn Fawn. That twine has little silver flecks in it, so it really goes well with that vellum paper with the silver polka dots that's underneath that photo cluster. So I tied myself some bows, and I eventually come in with some glue dots to adhere those to the page. And now all I'm doing is coming in with those epoxy hearts that is also part of this Made with Love collection. And I put just a sprinkling of them in that cluster in the bottom right. You're going to see in the still photos at the end, that cluster gets changed up a bit. Those are the types of small details that I can spend a long time. Actually, I think I liked them better before. Anyway, all I did off camera, aside from move those hearts, was my journaling. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the Scrapbook Nerd YouTube channel, we would be absolutely thrilled if you did. Same thing for my channel, Scrapbooking Quebec. Also, don't forget to check out the shop. The link is in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.